Today, let's look at one of my new favorite factions, the Red Falcons. Ever since finding out about them, I just had to get some of my own, so let's dive into it. If you like medieval LEGO content, please subscribe. I post a new video every week. Starting off with some foot soldiers. I used the back of the Red Falcon torsos here with some dual molded black and gray legs. I then used the single shoulder armor piece in the gray helmet that the Griffin Knights use. I like how accessible these flat gray pieces are right now and wanted to make good use of them. I did differentiate the arms somewhat. The one on the left has arms from the Dragonborn Paladin figure just because I wanted to see how they looked. And honestly, they aren't too bad, but it might be a bit of overkill outside of royalty due to the gold on it. For their weapons, I gave them both printed Black Falcon shields. Since the new shields only have black and silver on them, they go really well with the color scheme. They also both have the Gimli axes from the Rivendell set. Since this faction is one of my new favorites, I felt I'd spice them up a bit and bring out some of my rarer weapons. I haven't fully figured out the lore on this faction yet, but I like making some figures very similar in case I wanted them to be siblings or cousins or something of the sort. And I think that these two have great potential, and I just love the way that they turned out. Next up, we have some Lancers. Now for these two, I used different torsos because Red Falcon torsos are very expensive, and I only have a total of 5. So I mixed and matched some other types here to stretch out this amazing faction. For these two, we have a Viking torso from the early Vikings era and a Red Lion torso from the Fantasy era respectively. I was trying really hard to find some nice dark red accessories for this faction to stay on color scheme and stumbled upon some dark red masks on Bricklink, and these feathers were actually available on LEGO's Pick-a-Brick when I was ordering. Unfortunately, they won't be available everywhere due to the Pick-a-Brick store being locked down to bestsellers only for the US. But if you aren't sure what I'm talking about, check out my Pick-a-Brick deep dive I did a while back. I swapped out both of these figures' arms for black to match the shields and made their legs slightly different for contrast. One has the dual molded black and gray legs, and the other some black legs with a belt from a long time ago. I've had these legs sitting around for years and figure somebody mounted might make good use of them, and today is that day. Outside of this, they both use the same shoulder armor and the pearl dark gray Viking helmet since it pairs nicely with the mask and can have the feather for more of the dark red color. I do have horses for both of them, but unfortunately I only have red horse saddles at the moment. Let me know if you guys got any ideas on how to improve these horses for this faction. I'm just happy I got to mount some of the figures at least. Next up, I got some crossbowmen. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I love going to used LEGO stores like Bricks and Minifigs and sometimes getting inspired by random parts that I find. I found these shields in the accessory bin, and I know most don't use them as shields, but as soon as I saw them, I knew I had more color to bring into this faction. I found some matching scale mail armor that I've had in my collection a long time, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I love having crossbowmen or archers in scale mail. I faintly remember it being a thing in Age of Empires or something, and it's just stuck with me. Outside of this, I gave them both matching black quivers and pearl dark gray crossbows with dual molded legs. Lastly, I gave them both some of these awesome dark red hoods I found on Bricklink to round them out. I love how much dark red I was able to incorporate with these two figures, and finding these makeshift shields from Bricks and Minifigs really has helped this faction. I'm still not sure what everyone else uses these pieces for though. Now for a longbowman, and the leader of the ranged units for the Red Falcons. Here I used the awesome Red Falcon torso turned around and Tasha the Witch Queen arms from the D&D series. For the legs, I used the Wolfpack Beastmaster legs to match the hint of brown from the arms, and it also matches the longbow and quiver pretty nicely. I feel like bringing some brown into this faction looks really good. I stumbled upon it on accident when I was creating my Wolfpack faction and never looked back. To finish off this figure, I gave him the same dark red hood piece and a dagger from the Gith Warlock as his sidearm. I think this combo really sets him aside from the standard crossbowmen and will help single him out as the leader in a future mock. Now that we got all the archers, let's make some rogue type characters for this faction. For the first figure, I wanted to utilize the same helmet I used for the mounted figures. This would make it so I could use the same feather for a hint of red on them. I then found an awesome bandit mask from the Western theme that comes in dark red and knew immediately that I could bring it into this faction. With this combo, I figured I could make him a little more dark, so I took a red dragon torso, flipped it around, and added some Tasha the Witch Queen arms to it, and then I found these black and dark red legs at Bricks and Minifigs. I'm not sure where these legs came from, I was able to scoop a good amount of them though. If you know what figure or sets they're from, be sure to comment below. After assembling all of this, I figured I needed to make this roguish type character a little different than normal, so I gave him a dagger for the offhand and a tomahawk for his main weapon. I feel that axes and tomahawks are a little scarier than just two daggers, so it fit nicely here. For the next one, I paired the same mask, but this time with a standard black nasal helm. I've done this combo before with my wolf pack and loved how it turned out here. I then used a red lion's torso with Tasha the Witch Queen arms and the same black and red legs. I made his weapons a little more standard with a dagger and short sword here to show some diversity among the figures. Lastly, for the leader of the rogues, I used Tasha the Witch Queen's arms, torso, and legs here. All of these parts are good for any rogue-like figure, and that red gem on the collar helped for sure. I then grabbed a dark red mask here and some hair to let her stand out as more of an important figure and show off that it's a girl. I don't have too many feminine faces, so when I use them, I try to make them easy to spot. I then gave her dual daggers from the GIF Warlock figure to top her off. Now, these roguelike figures aren't too obvious to spot as Red Falcons, and I think that it fits. You wouldn't want assassins or rogue figures to be easily identified with a faction. That being said, I'm not sure how I feel about them compared to the rest of the figures, and I might take these apart one day. But we'll see. To take a break from the military units, I made a few peasants for this faction. I made a mom and her daughter. I used the dark red peasant torso that I got off Lego's Pick-a-Brick for their base, and from there I found some solid dark red legs for the mom and some interesting dual molded dark red and yellow tiny legs for the child. I was so excited to find these tiny legs. From here, I gave the mother a hood piece that matched nicely, and some tea and a croissant for her accessories. For the daughter, I found this hairpiece a while back from the LEGO store's Build a Minifigure station and wanted to use it somehow. And when making this faction, I was glad I had it. I then gave her a bucket on her back and think someday I'll have her fishing or showing her mom a fish in a mock. I know most people don't do same color schemes for their citizens or peasants, but it's something that I like to do, and it's just a little extra fun here and there. They aren't always the same shade of color, but I figured dark red is pretty rare, so let's go for it. Now back to your regular army building units you all came here for. Here I made a standard knight figure. I only made one of him since I don't have a lot of the Red Falcon torsos like I mentioned earlier, but I love the way he turned out. I used those same dual molded legs from earlier and the shoulder piece to make him match all the other units. And then I topped him off with that beautiful knight helmet we all love with the black accent on it. To make him seem a little more prestigious, I gave him a cloak, and this cloak is actually dark red on one side and black on the other. So for displaying, it could work both ways. Outside of this, a standard longsword and black falcon shield to top him off. For the second to last figure, I wanted to throw some lore in here. Here we have an ambassador from the Desert Kingdom. I've yet to do too much lore for this Desert Kingdom, but I figured starting to have ambassadors here and there could be super fun. For this figure, I had a dark red turban already, and then gave him a dark red bandit mask to go with it. For the legs, I used the ones from the Series 27 Pirate Quartermaster to match his dark red color scheme. And the torso is a standard nude torso that I got a while back, and then for weapons, he's using the Prince of Persia dagger along with an Egyptian sword. I love the look for this figure, and it matches the look of my desert faction very much so, but with those Red Falcon colors. As we know, ambassadors are to make good relations with other nations, so him having their colors to pay respects only makes sense. Lastly, we have the leader of the whole bunch, and here I'll give some lore on the faction as a whole too. This is subject to change, and I'm always open for input on it. Long ago, the Red Falcons were a renegade group set upon ruining the militaristic Black Falcon Kingdom. The group rose in power so much they were able to create their own keep and had an enormous following to try and stop the warfare of the Black Falcons. Gaining popularity over time, they were anointed royal status and have since then been the peacemakers of the faction. Today, they are still the peace holders, but the Black Falcons keep them close and rule them through family alliances. Currently, the king's nephew resides as the Lord of the Red Falcons, but in times of peace, they may turmoil with the Black Falcons once again. I hope you guys liked that little tidbit of lore for my actual kingdom. I've just been so inspired by hearing other people's lore for their Red Falcons and had to give it my own twist. So for the last figure and leader of the Red Falcons, I wanted to make him younger. And what's a better way to do that than with some Anakin Skywalker hair? I used my last Red Falcon torso here, but kept it on the front to set him aside from the others. I then made sure to give him a cloak that matches the torso. I then gave him a hint of brown using the Series 27 Wolfpack Beastmaster's arms and legs. And then also some full shoulder pads, unlike the rest of the troops. If I had some pearl dark gray ones, I may use them here, but those are pretty hard to come by nowadays. Lastly, I topped him off with the Gryffindor sword to show his status. I love how he turned out, and I loved how this faction turned out as a whole. This is slowly becoming one of my favorites more and more. They have the same sigil as the Black Falcons, but a different color? Sign me up. I can't wait to build mocks for them and to have a home for these guys one day. And I can't wait to get some Griffin Knight parts to add to this faction. Be sure to give me plenty ideas for lore and mocks for them in the future. Thank you all so much for sticking around until the end. If you want to become part of my inner circle, be sure to check out my channel memberships. I recently changed them up a little, so check those out. Until next time, like and subscribe for more medieval LEGO content every week.